that claim. So the best thing you can do is let the bank that's got that $3,000 on that car or whatever it is, okay, let them have it and go out and get something else. But them just giving you a car, unless it's free and clear. Now, if they've got the endorsed title, where it's endorsed on the back, that there's no encumbrances on it, then whatever you get for that car, you would have to sell the car because you're taking the car, okay? You would have to hold a public auction at the courthouse steps and sell the vehicle. Then whatever you get for the vehicle, whatever is left, you would go after the balance of it. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
All right,
Thank you.
that's how it works. That's how it works, and that's the next step. That's a step we're getting to in the enforcement step, okay? Next question, Alan, please.
Yes, James Bertrand.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Richard, for doing the class. Hope you're feeling better. My question pertains to a notice of claim relative to getting our social security number back, the NIN. Is there a certain template or format that we should send the request in, or can we just use layman terms and make that request to get ownership, pardon the terminology if it's incorrect, to get ownership of that social security number back?
James, here's how you do that. You make yourself a document, which is called notice of claim, okay? Now, you're going to get a blank document, notice of claim. Whatever your claim is, that's what you're going to put in there. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to claim that number and put the number in there exactly the way it's written on your social security card as your personal and private property. That's the notice that you're claiming. And you're going to enter in front of that the letters NIN dash in front of that social security number, because that number now belongs to you as a non-taxpayer identification number. You're a non-taxpayer when you enter in that NIN. That's what it stands for, non-taxpayer identification number, NIN. Okay. You're going to make that claim that now becomes your personal and sole property by simply making the claim. They can hem and haw and do everything they want to, but legally and lawfully, that now becomes your sole and private property, period. And nobody can ask you for that number, but yet you want that number. Why do you want that number? Why would you make that claim? Let me tell you once again, ladies and gentlemen, what your social security number is. That number with the dash is so you can do business in the commercial world, the corporate world. The minute you remove the dashes between your first three, the second two, and the last four digits, you now have what is called a what?
Exemption.
That is your exemption number, and it's also a CUSIP number. You're going to find a lot of bonds that has that number on it exactly that way, without any dashes. Those bonds that have that on there, that's called a CUSIP. They're CUSIP. It's the same number that is your exemption number. So your exemption account number is your social security number without the dashes. That number on the back of your card is not what people are telling you it is. The number on the back of your card is an alphanumeric number. It's alphanumeric because it will have a letter at the beginning of a group of numbers, okay? That letter will be any letter A through L. That's the first 12 letters of the alphabet, and there's 12 branches of the Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank did not give you that number. That Social Security number was issued through the IMF. What the IMF does is they take a look at the Federal Reserve banks, each one of the 12 branches, and find out at the time that you apply which bank needs depositors. They need to get their accounts back on track. They assign you a number at that bank assigned by the IMF, and that bank, mine is D, okay? That's Cleveland. My bank is named Cleveland. I'm born in Illinois, but when I got my Social Security card, I was like, I forget now, maybe 12, I don't know. It doesn't matter. The fact is, when I got it, that number is on the back of it, same number I've got and I've got more than one. I don't need more than one. You only need one because that account can never be depleted. Never. You never know what your zero balance is, and it's up to you to keep that zero balance at zero. If it's $50,000, you got to keep it at $50,000. So what happens? You use, let's say, $40,000 and write an MOA to whoever, let's say a court or something, okay? As soon as that 1099 gets filed and your 1040, that zero balance goes right back up to the $50,000. It's always kept at zero. Now, if that account gets more money into it, your zero balance, let's say another 50,000. Now, instead of having 50,000 as your zero balance, it's 100,000. You're never going to know what your zero balance is. It's up to you to keep it balanced. So when you write an MOA, what you're doing is you're automatically balancing that account to whatever it was. You don't know what it is. You're never going to find out. You're not privy to any of that. But please remember, once again, you didn't create these things. They created these things. But they use you as the sole, S-O-U-L, source of that when they created it, making you the sole, S-O-L-E, beneficiary of it. You don't own it. You're the beneficiary. You're reaping the benefits, but it's not yours. You didn't create it. They created it. It belongs to them. But because they created it using you, that means everything they generate from that is yours as the beneficiary. You never want to try to be the trustee of your own account. All you're doing then, and I'll give you a prime example. There was a pastor some years ago, and he took some people, 60 of them to be exact. He took them down to 55 Water Street, and they closed out their accounts. Every one of them walked out of there with a check, a substantial check. When they walked out of there with that substantial check, they were arrested. And guess what? They closed the account. They had the check, it's approved right in their hand. And so what happened? They didn't have a leg to stand on. They had no way to settle their debt. They closed the damn account that would settle the debt. This is why I'm telling you, be careful what you wish for and be careful what you do. You don't want to turn around and close anything. Let me give you another example here. You brought up a good point, so let me address another issue with that. Let's say you have a credit card with Bank of America, all right? Now, let's say you have a $5,000 limit, and at the end of the month, you get a bill from Bank of America that you owe a payment of, let's say, $1,000 on your $5,000 limit. But your limit, you owe more, but that's your minimum payment, okay? All right, now, you want to make a little more than the minimum payment because it's going to take you forever to pay it back if you're doing it like that, which you shouldn't be doing to start with. You should be settling the damn debt at the end of every month, settle the debt. Right now you can't because everything is on hold. If it wasn't, I'd be settling mine right now too. I'm living in a terrible deficit right now, especially with my wife's health and everything. And Reverend Shirley, you know that to be so. You were here. But the point I'm making is, at the end of the day, if you want to keep that credit card alive, pay more. In other words, if you got $5,000, put up another $5,000. So now you got a $5,000 limit, but you've actually got $5,000 plus $5,000 there. You see, you more than got your credit card at a limit. You don't want to close it out. Let's say that you're closing all these accounts out. Why would you do that? Why would you go and close something which you already control? And you can continue to control it. But when you get the bill, pay or settle the bill. Period. Don't let them cancel out your credit card. Because even with your own credit and with your own account, there's going to come a time when you're going to need some kind of credit, especially if you're traveling overseas. If you don't have a credit card, what are you going to do when you get overseas? And this is not recognized overseas. Tell me what you're gonna do to rent a car. How you gonna get a plane home or whatever. Doesn't work like that over there as it works here. So you always are going to need some kind of credit. So don't, again, cut off your nose and spite your face. You understand where I'm coming from now?
Absolutely. Is that notice of demand go to the Treasury for that NIN, or does it go to the Social
No,
Security
no, no.
Administration?
Treasurer didn't issue it. You got to send
Okay.
it where it came from. It came from the Social Security Department. I think it's Baltimore, Maryland. Okay? I don't have the address right handy, but you'll see it. It's actually on your account, okay? But anyway, that's where you make the claim. It's not their number. They didn't give it to you. The IMF did. But let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. When you pay taxes in this country, you think they're going to the U.S. Treasury? They're not. They don't go to this country. These taxes are paid directly to the IMF, and that's an offshore. It's not here. Okay, so you think you're paying a $1,000 tax bill here. You might be getting the credit from the IRS here, but those dollars are not going there. But that's another story that we have to address. That's a long process. But it's something you need to understand what happens with money you pay out. So we will be addressing that, but this is not the time or the place to do that. So next question, Alan, please.
Yes, Maureen?
Hi, Richard. Thanks for doing this. I was just wondering, okay, so let's say they ignore your fault and opportunity to cure, and then you have to do the default judgment. And so then you record that, and then you have to ask the sheriff to go after these people. But what if it's the sheriff?
Well, if it is the sheriff, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the court, which is your county board of supervisors or commissioners. Okay. You see, they're the ones that enforce. They write the laws and they enforce the laws. Now, if they fail to do that, and if it is against the sheriff, you take the sheriff with you from your county and you go and enforce it, because he can turn right around then and enforce a judgment against another sheriff or any other law enforcement officer. You
Even
understand what I'm
himself?
telling you? Pardon?
Even
Not
himself?
himself. Well, that's not what I'm telling you. If
Okay.
you're making a claim against a sheriff, get
Mhm.
another sheriff that will go and enforce it against that sheriff, okay?
Got it.
You might go through several sheriffs before you get one that will. But unfortunately, you don't have any continental marshals today. If you had a continental marshal, you would simply get the marshal to go over there and lock up the sheriff. But that's in process, and it's not happening today. So you can forget that. If it's against your local sheriff, you need to get another sheriff and show them that you have the judgment and this guy is evading the judgment. You can also register that judgment with your county recorder, and once you've got it registered with your county recorder, you can have a collection agent go in there and collect from that sheriff. You see, you have avenues. Again, you have enforcement, you have remedy. This is why I want you to understand what your remedy is not limited and your enforcement is not limited. There are avenues that you have to take, and when they throw up a hurdle, don't try to jump over the hurdle, go around it. Go directly to the source instead of jumping over their hurdles, because they're going to just keep adding higher ones every time. And you're not in a hurdle race. If they're going to throw up hurdles, go around the hurdle and get the job done. That's my whole teaching. I want you to know how to do that. So your question is a very good question, and I thank you for the question. Next question, Alan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cynthia? Cynthia, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Start speaking.
This has been not Cynthia, but my question was, can we use this to pay pay off a back child support order before we get the order canceled.
One moment, please. Let me interrupt you, okay? First of all, I can barely hear you. I need your volume, please, just a little bit louder. I believe you're asking me if you can use this to take care of child support. Yes, you can. Yes, you most definitely can.